I know we're running a little late today. Hope everyone's doing well. It is Friday. It is August 13th, and I am excited to get back to our regularly scheduled live stream. What's up, Lawson? What's up, Josh Jennings? Oh, I think I'm missing one setting here on audio on Facebook. Hello, Ben. Hello, Alan. Hello, Borgia. Hope everybody's doing well. Running a little late today. Sorry about that. I had a meeting that went a bit long this morning, and just getting the, here we go, getting the settings going here. Duke is in the background, I see. All right, so I think things are going better now. Welcome. Oh, I see some people. Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. Thanks for joining. What's up, Kevin? What's up, Letio? What's up, Ben? Hope everybody's having a great week, having a great Friday. Of course, this is our Friday Q&A, and this is going to be the last Q&A at this time. I'm going to have to move this time in order to continue doing the live stream, because it's the end of summer for me. School is about to be back in session at UNT, and I got to switch things up a little bit. So I'm glad you could join me on this final Friday afternoon. I hope everyone can join me at the new time. I'm thinking one of the, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening might be a new time to do this as opposed to Friday afternoon. For now, I have a poll in my YouTube community area, but if you want to put it in the chat today, or you want to put a comment in about when you think is a good time to do this that's not Friday at this time, I would love to hear about that. I'm also going to pull up, I put in my story today a call for some questions. And there's some questions there, so we got there to start with, and we'll jump off from these jumping off points from some people that maybe can't always join us at the live time. Josh Jennings, excited to see you next week. Get things back rolling again. I got to make sure comments are open here. Yes, they are. Okay, cool. So, like I said, there's a Q&A, so feel free to drop in some questions into the comments, into the chat. Sorry for the backlighting on Instagram. I tried to turn this light on. It's not really doing anything. It kind of looks cloudy. What are you going to do? What's up, DJ? Hope everybody's doing well. All right, let's jump into it. Whoops. Things are crashing. All right, we're good now. So let's see. I got some questions here. Let's jump right into it today. All right, from Jens. He says, what is your warm-up routine? My warm-up routine these days is to play tunes mostly, play the melodies of tunes, and then I play through. I have been doing my get ready routine. Get Ready is a book that I wrote, put it out 2 years ago. It's got play-alongs and also that go along with it, and it is just like it's actually 17 or 18 minutes of warm-up stuff if you play it front to back, and it's just hitting the main areas. So my main areas that I always try to hit are sound, flexibility, and articulation in whatever warm-up routine I'm doing. So I try to hit those three areas, and I don't usually stick to the same thing. I get bored pretty easily. So I try to do a bunch of different things within the context of those three areas. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Oh, wait, they're here too. What do you consider? Here's a question. What do you consider to be the most important thing that students often don't realize? Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, I don't think, I was just talking about this on the last meeting, so it's kind of top of mind, that we don't think longitudinally enough, and we don't think about kind of the full ramification of like the future, and trying to build on something into the future, and trying to we're too transactional, and it's like, I got to do this, and while you're in school, there's like all these check marks, and you do this week's assignment and next week's assignment, but then you don't have any like direction or goals in terms of where you're heading to, and you don't necessarily know how to create opportunities for yourself, because you're just being more or less like a yes person to your teacher, and not always thinking for yourself, and trying to develop a sense of what you want to do as well. I think something that's important to keep in mind, no matter where you're going to school, or if you're going to school at all, is that you have to make the school work for you just as much as you do work for the school, in terms of whatever your professors are telling you and all that sort of thing. It's up to you to really navigate that and make sure that you're getting what you need out of the program. Sorry, Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and move this because it's just so awful looking. If I do this, that's better. Okay, it's a little better anyway. So yeah, that's something that students don't realize that they need to do, is think about the longitudinal success of their career. What are they going to do to kind of build over time, rather than just worrying about, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and developing as an artist, like having something to say. Just playing trombone is not good enough anymore. Being a good trombone player is the beginning, it's not the end. That's kind of it. All right, so here's one from Facebook. I'm going to jump back and forth here. What are the benefits to practicing entire transcriptions as opposed to just taking little pieces of vocabulary? So those are two different approaches to developing, your vocabulary and musical identity. So by transcribing a whole solo, you're really kind of diving deep into a player. If you only do little bits and pieces, you're just getting little bits and pieces, right? So at certain points in your development, it's important to get those little bits of vocabulary and focus only on getting that vocabulary. And then at other points, it's more important to think about the flow. You're trying to get the flow together. You're trying to get the feel of the eighth notes. You're trying to get, a longitudinal approach. You're trying to go deep. You're trying to understand the how, not just the why. When you just transcribe like a little tiny bit, you're not, oops. When you just transcribe a little tiny portion of a solo, you're not really getting into the how. You're not really matching, the flow of those phrases through time. It's all important stuff to think about, and they're just kind of completely different things in the context of development. Like, they have different purposes, they have different goals, and they do different things. Just transcribing vocabulary to transcribe vocabulary gets more vocabulary, right? And that's one part of it, but it's also important to get the feel and the flow and the nuance from transcribing people in a deep way. And the only way to do it in a deep way is to do a full solo. You're not going to sound like JJ by transcribing just a lick here and a lick there. All right, here's a question from Ethan. What are some creative ways to keep your practice motivation fresh? I don't really deal with motivation in terms of waiting for it to strike or creativity to strike. I think that that's not a thing, and that the most successful people in any field, doesn't have to be music in particular, any field where people are high achieving or need to be high achieving or strive to be high achieving, that involves regimented practice. It takes a decision. It doesn't take motivation. When I was in college, it was, I am practicing 4 to 6 hours a day. It doesn't have to be 6 hours a day, but it does have to be 4. It wasn't a question of if I feel motivated. That's not a thing for me. It's like, I am doing this. And so once you decide you are doing something, then it's not a choice. You don't wait for the motivation to show up. It's like, I am going to move to New York. So what am I going to do that? So I worked backwards from there. For me, it was go to grad school. So then I was like, all right, so to get to New York, I'm going to go to grad school. To get into grad school, I need to practice these things. I need to make this audition tape. I need to be able to do these things along the way. So for me, that's how I did it. I backed it up and I just decided, I decided I'm going to practice. I'm not going to wait around for inspiration to strike, because it's too unwieldy. It doesn't strike at the same time. You don't know if it's going to actually show up on a given day. So I don't rely on that sense of motivation. To make sure you have a goal and you're committed to the goal, and that means you're going to do it. So if your goal is to be in the NBA, you're going to practice playing basketball every day. It's the same thing on a different scale. If you want to be in a scene, playing every day, playing gigs, getting called, being a top call person in a city, you need to practice enough to be that top call person. It doesn't just happen, So that's my advice to you, Ethan. Don't waste your time waiting for motivation. Just go and decide. Just decide that you're going to do it. That's going to help you. And we already answered this question. What is your warm-up routine? We talked about that. Let's see. All right, so feel free to drop in questions if you have any this week. We jumped right in today. Got a bunch of questions in already. Some from Brian. Oh, here's one from Estes. George, how long did it take you to develop your own style? I don't know. I don't know if there was a time where it kind of reared its head that there was a style there. I kind of believe that your musical choices, the things you listen to, the things you transcribe, the things that you're into kind of naturally pervade your own style over time. And that as long as you're being true to the things that influence you and the things you're passionate about, and that it will naturally come through time, through playing. And so a lot of it comes exactly through that, through playing. So I don't know exactly when it showed up, and I feel like I don't know that I even have a style personally. Like I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. What do I want to sound like? So to me, it's an ongoing process, and it's always my friend Lucas Pino, great tenor player. If you don't know him, he kind of talks about it in a way that I really like. He talks about your concept versus like what you can hear in your concept versus like actual reality, right? So it's like you have your concept and your listening gets better and better, and you're trying to chase, your technical ability is trying to chase that. So as your concept gets deeper and more individual, you keep on having to level up so that you can keep up with your own perception, your own ideas of what you want to sound like. So that's something that I think has been a cool way to think about it. I think maybe this is not a good place for the iPad because people are jumping off the stream. So I'll put it back over here. Maybe the fan noise from the computer is too loud. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's what I think about it. You got your concept and you got your ability, and you have to kind of go back and forth on that. How do you go about improvising on dominant chords in tunes like Bridge of Rhythm Changes, Bridge of Caravan, Sweet George Brown? Well, you play the key center, you play the sound, like you get to the Bridge of Rhythm Changes and you want to highlight the notes that are unique to that sound. So like in the key of B flat concert, when you're playing rhythm changes and you're in B flat, B flat, B flat, when you go to D7 or G major, that's going to sound bright. So I want to accentuate those notes like F sharp and B natural. Those are a couple of notes, that it's like I want to make sure that I play. And transcribing soloists. How do I go about improvising on dominant chords? I don't know. You play jazz vocabulary that fits those changes, like you think about, I always try to think about the rhythm first. I try to think about that it's one big piece of tension to lead us back to the A section. Like the bridge is that piece of, if we're talking about rhythm changes, like the bridge is that piece of like other, right? It's like all B flat, all B flat, all B flat, and then we move into some other stuff. So for me, that's like an important differentiation to make. But man, think of the rhythm first and think about just playing phrases, just playing rhythms, and the notes have to fit the changes. They're either in the chord or they're out of the chord, and every note on every change has a certain tendency. It either wants to go up or it wants to go down. So you just have to experiment. And if you play rhythms first and the flow first, it's not really that important what notes you play, honestly. Here you go. How can you sound out but make it sound good? 1, be confident, and 2, you know, how do you make it sound good? You have to make it like not a big deal. If you make a big deal about like I'm gonna play out, it's gonna sound bad. It has to be like a natural extension of what you're playing. So, you know, one way to do that is by starting to identify what are some of the color tones that work well on a certain chord, or like what out notes work well. So like one thing that I like to do that doesn't make any sense, but will demonstrate this concept, is that like if I think about playing, yeah, definitely sing the lines, Josh. If I think about playing, here's one example. So if I play like a C sharp minor blues, I have a tune called We the People that's called C sharp, that's in C sharp minor or D flat minor, whatever key you want to think about it in. And what I like to do is kind of when I build it up to a moment of like tension and I want to go to the next level of tension and find like another key center to play in for a little while, I try to go to B flat major over C sharp minor. It should not work, right? But if I play strong shapes, so this is my suggestion, to play strong shapes in another key. So that could be triads, it could be 1, 2, 3, 5, it could be pentatonic, it could be a scale, but that it's so strong in that shape of itself that it carries over into that new key. So like we're talking about bridge to rhythm changes, it's like, okay, well I could play D7, I'm thinking like 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, da 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 to the third. I don't know if I'm singing in the right key, but that comes to mind. Da da dee dee da 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 da, and it leads you right to the next key. So you could play D7, or it's like you could play some color tones and play like E major over that D7 or an E triad. And then if you want it to sound like super spacey, you could do like F sharp major. You could play like B. You could try B flat or B major with that D7. And so you know you're going to play some quote unquote wrong notes, but at some point you got to decide what notes sound good to you. There's a lot of rules in harmony, but ultimately, like, do you think it sounds good? If you do, it's probably cool. You might have to find some, not justification, but find a way to make it work. To me, everything in jazz and harmony is all about voice leading. So if you you can set up any note to work. You know, there's whatever famous sayings that go like, oh, you're only a half step away from the right note. But it's like, I mean, that's one way to think about it. Or you can just think about that there's like, I think on any chord, there's like 10 notes that work and 2 that you probably don't want to play. You know, like on a dominant chord, you know, one person might say like, oh, don't play the major 7th. But, well, you can, because you can go da, 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 like a leading tone. A bebop scale, well, that's there. You know, you can play the minor 3rd because that's a sharp 9. You can play pretty much any note on a dominant chord. The only one is like on a D7, if I'm going to imply all kinds of like colorful notes, then I want to not play an E natural, because that E natural makes it sound like it's in G major and it sounds like a bright sound. But maybe this is too much in the weeds. But strong shapes in another key over a key center. So experiment with that. Try like playing an E triad over D7, and then try to play an A triad over G7, and then a D triad over C7, and a G triad over F7, and see where that gets you in terms of hearing some of that stuff. Because like just like related to what we were talking about, it's like you have to hear it first. You know, if you don't hear it, you don't listen to players that play inside and outside. The best players you don't even know that they're playing outside, in my opinion. Like if you transcribe, you're like, whoa, those are weird notes, but you shouldn't, in my estimation, really know that it's quote unquote in or out, because it should be voice led to in such a way where it's like inevitable that note is going to be played, if that makes sense. Sorry for the lighting today. I'm seeing that it's like really kind of out. That's not very good today, but I'm in a bad position, so I apologize for that. Thanks for sticking with us. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Kevin hasn't been here in a bit. Glad you could join us today. He says Strong Shapes is a good jazz song title. Yeah, there you go. Strong Shapes, man. Triads, 7th chords, all that stuff is good. You're welcome. You are welcome. Here's a question from Paul. What is your mindset coming into any performance you play in? The question that I say this in a multitude of arenas and a multitude of situations about different aspects of the music, but asking yourself and posing yourself the question of what does the music need right now is the ultimate question. for any performance in any style, because you can really affect the performance positively by really focusing your energy on being like not just as like a student of the music, but really being open to what's happening. Because like if you put your agenda out there above all else, it's kind of a drag for a lot of the people that are playing with you. But if you put everyone else's agenda ahead of your own, play the music. What does the music need right now? Does my solo need to be energetic? Does it need to be calm? Should I be playing louder? Am I playing in tune? Am I playing in time? Am I playing in the concept of this band? All of those things kind of work together to create a good mindset. I'm going to move this again to see if this is any better. Maybe that's a little better with the lighting, but an awkward angle, but that's okay. See some people joining us, Alex and Solomon. Thanks for joining on Instagram today. So hopefully that helps you. I guess my mindset is to answer that question, Paul, if that's the, like, what does the music need right now? What does it need? Does it need energy? Does it need calmness? And just trying to stick with that and roll along from there. So that's what I do. And that's kind of the concept that I have. Excellent. Well, feel free to keep dropping in some questions. At the beginning of the stream today, we didn't get a chance to talk about some stuff. So while people are dropping in their additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some stuff that's been going on that you might want to check out. So first of all, a couple weeks ago, I released a new duet book. It's called Get To It. It's 10 duets that feature improvisation. I've been releasing a bunch of videos about it. You can check those out if you want more information. More importantly is that there's a challenge going on now, and that challenge is the Get To It challenge, and the challenge is to play one of the duets. So if you go to the Get To It challenge YouTube video, or it's on my website, you can find it there, and it's in the link in the bio, I'm pretty sure, in the Instagram bio, you can go there and download one of the parts, an audio and video of me playing the other part, and it's on a duet over the changes of Autumn Leaves. So if you know Autumn Leaves, it'll be a good challenge to do, and a good challenge to play a duet, and it'll be fun to hear what you all come up with. I'm going to post my own video of that next week on Wednesday, so if you want to hear that first on Wednesday, you got the cheat code that it's coming, so you can have a little bit of a head start on what that might sound like. But so that's happening. The UNT Conn-Selmer Jazz Trombone Competition is open for submissions, so that's going to close on September 1st. And if you have not yet figured out what you're going to play, what you're going to submit, I encourage you to do so. We can't wait to hear as many entries as possible. We're going to have our live event in Denton, Texas in November. We'll be inviting 3 finalists to campus, so we hope that you can apply. We hope that you can send in a recording, and again, it's 30 and under, so lots and lots of people are able to come and hang with us. So those are the couple things I wanted to mention. I hope you'll enter the Get To It challenge. I hope you'll enter for the Conn-Selmer UNT Jazz Trombone Competition. And there's lots more coming up about Jazz Trombone Day over the next couple of weeks and months. We'll have several guest artists to announce, and the schedule and all those type of things. So lots of big things happening coming up. And so I see some questions have rolled in here while I've been chatting away here. And so I'm going to grab another question here from YouTube. All right, Brian has a question. What's your process in learning a standard? Do you think it's important to learn standards in every key? Well, I'll address the last part first, which is I don't think you need to learn every standard in every key. I do think you need to learn a few standards in all keys. I do think you need to be able to transpose to all keys. But have I learned every tune I know in 12 keys? No. Certain tunes are never going to be called in another key. Good example, Dolphin Dance. Why would you play Dolphin Dance in another key? It's hard enough to play in the original key. As an exercise, it's a good challenge to move it to another key, but most people are probably going to play Dolphin Dance in the original key. But a songbook tune, or rhythm changes, or blues, there's a good chance you're going to play that in any key, especially if you get into doing a lot of gigs, playing with singers and other instrumentalists that like to play in different keys. We have to get out of concert pitch. We have to get to other things, other keys, other zones, key centers, etc. So I think it's really important to be able to play in all 12 keys, to be able to transpose to all 12 keys, but to play because to play every song in every key is not realistic. All right, so backing up and get the other part of his question. So he's asked me like how to learn a tune, what's my process? So I put this into my very first book, and it's called Get Ready. That's the very first book. Came out in 2013, and there's a 7-step kind of outline of how to learn a tune. But essentially it's to learn to sing it first, just like a transcription. Learn to sing it first, learn the melody from a recording, learn the root melody, play the roots in the thirds, play the roots in the sevenths, play root seventh, root third. Then you're going to play, there's a million different exercises you can go from there, but being able to then walk a bass line and play it on the piano are two essentials for me. So you don't have to do that. Like at a certain point, you don't need to do all the steps. So for me, it's right now, if I was going to go learn a tune, it's listen to it until I can sing along with the melody. And then I learn it on the piano and I sing the melody along while I play the piano. And then I learn to play the trombone. Because once it's in my ear and in my head, I can play it on trombone pretty easily at this point, because I've worked over the years to connect my ear and my mind to the trombone. So like when I hear notes, when I think of notes, I can kind of find them a little more easily. So that is the process right now of learning standards. And like I've said before, throw that real book away. Learn everything from a recording, because that is how it gets internalized. That's how you internalize a recording. And we want to internalize these tunes, not just memorize those tunes. And I think there's an essential difference between the two. So, all right. Any other questions for today? Maybe today will end up being a little bit on the short side, but like I said, if you want to vote on or make any suggestions about a future time for this live stream, we're going to move to a weeknight, I believe, maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday during the week, to try to get more chance for people that are at home after work, all that, or after school, all those sorts of things, instead of Friday during the day, which ended up originally being a time that was pretty convenient for me, but not maybe for everybody else. But we're going to try to look into that into the future. All right. Give people a few more minutes here to enter in any last questions for today, Friday, August 13th. Otherwise, we'll be back next week sometime. Not on Friday, though. We're going to start a new time next week. New day, new time, and build it back up again from there. But okay, so I don't see any new questions coming in, so we'll wrap it up for this week. I appreciate everybody being here to hang and chat a little bit. But yeah, so go check that out. The Get To It Challenge, new jazz trombone duets available now. And the challenge is open until next Wednesday. 2 Wednesdays, the 25th. Yeah, the 25th it's open until. So go grab the book, go grab the free PDF download to play, and we'll play that Autumn Leaves duet together. It's called Train to Berlin is the name of the duet, and we'll have a good time with that. So I hope to see lots of entries. So tag me, tag your friends, and we'll do all of that stuff. But have a great weekend. I hope you had a great week already, and we'll check back in next week. So have a good one, and